Okay, shall we start? Let us start. See, this masterclass is about emotional repatterning. There is no doubt. This is the topic that we are taking. But we are going to talk about three emotions. I will not be discussing the three emotions. My focus will be on anger. And we are going to talk of how an emotional pattern gets formed and what is actually holding it in place. And what we are going to discuss today is that anger, whether you know it or you don't know it, you are carrying anger, and that anger is fueling the pattern. It is anger which is fueling the pattern. Agar humne aag lagai hai, you'll have to keep adding that wood to it. So you are fueling it in some way, and anger is the fuel for your particular specific emotional pattern, no matter what it is. It doesn't matter what the pattern is. Now, let me give you an example so that you understand what an emotional pattern is. Let me just give you a very broad example. Garima knows about it. I'll tell the others. Now, see, you have a big, beautiful house. It's a big, beautiful house, and you have done it up so well. Everything is in place. Everything is very beautiful there. But you know what happens? You have visitors. One day you have visitors, and there is a dead rat in this house. There's a dead rat in this house, and that dead rat is giving out a stench. And so those people who enter the house, they don't want to sit in this big and beautiful house. All they know is that they want to leave immediately and they want to go from here. Now, why did that happen? This house was so big, so beautiful, palatial, all very well done up. Then why did those people want to run out? Because they couldn't bear the smell that that dead rat was emitting. Now, I'm going to tell you a real life thing. Real life thing. This is from my classroom. You know, I had a student. She was not some sophisticated student, but yes, she belonged to Kota. And Kota is not some gaon or something. I mean, you've got to look at it as a big town. In fact, it's a city. It is a city, and this girl was used to this kind of a city kind of an environment. And she got married to somebody in the village. This is the truth. She got married to somebody in the village. And when she got married and she started, staying in that place, she was very uncomfortable. She was very uncomfortable. She was very angry. And she told her parents, I can't stay here. मैं इस तरह के माहौल में नहीं रह सकती. यहाँ तो जानवरों की गोबर की बदबू दिन भर आती रहती है. ये क्या किया? Why have you put me here? I can't stay here. And she would come home. She'd spend a few days, but her parents would convince her, "Nahi, you go," and this and that, and she'd go back. Now, quite a few years passed like this. And what happened was that girl got so used to that smelly thing, or that atmosphere or environment, or whatever you choose to call it, that sort of she became numb to it. After that, she just stopped complaining. She was absolutely okay with it. She had kids, and now things are continuing, and she's there. Now, if you ask her, she says, अब मुझे फर्क ही नहीं पड़ता, मुझे तो अब बदबू भी नहीं आती. मुझे बदबू नहीं आती, अब मुझे सब ठीक लगता है. Now, what happened? Living in that environment, she got so used to it that the smell did not reach her. But suppose you or I were to go to that girl's house, we wouldn't be able to sit there for a very long time and we'd feel like coming back home. Ki, "Arey, ghar chalo, I can't stay here." Are you getting this analogy? So, suppose you have been living in a house with a dead rat and you have got sort of used to that smell. You've got used to it. You've just got used to it, no matter. You don't know that there's a dead rat. You don't know that the dead rat is giving out a smell. All you know is that somehow you've got used to it. And so now you're not complaining, everything is okay. But somebody coming from the outside immediately gets it, and then that person runs away. Now, suppose one day you did get to know that there is a dead rat in that house, and that is the reason why nobody wants to come to your house and sit with you and spend time with you. All they know is that they just want to leave. If you got to know that the reason was a dead rat, would you still say, "I'll wait for Sunday. I'm busy right now. I'll wait for Sunday. Sunday ki din chutti hai. I'll hunt this rat out and I'll throw it out." Or will you just want to begin looking for it immediately because you cannot afford this? That people who matter to you, they don't want to come to you. They come to your door, they go back, and somehow they refuse to have anything to do with your house, and you're not able to understand the reason. See, we are all working. We are all working. We are all into relationships, let us say. So, you all are married, you all have partners, or you have had partners, however things may be. You have children with whom you have a relationship. You have businesses, or your husbands are into businesses. You are in a job, your husband may be in a job. There are things like this. And what is happening is that there is no growth there. There is no growth. It is at a standstill. You are where you are, and things are not taking that next step forward. Why is this happening? This is happening because you have a dead rat inside you. But you've got so used to it that it doesn't even strike you that there is a dead rat inside. You're not getting the smell, but everyone else around you is getting the smell and running away from you. You apply for that job, you don't get it. You try for that promotion, and even before you know, you're not being considered for it. You try for that next step forward, it's not coming to you. So these things are happening. As far as relationships are concerned, it's the same thing. The kind of bonding that should be there, that's not there. Somewhere, everyone around you is affected by the smell of that dead rat which you are putting out. You see, we've got to know this, that we are basically energy bodies. You'll be very, very surprised, if you ever look up the biological framework of a human being, you'll come to know that actually you're just energy. Somehow you're being held in place. That is one thing. I'm held in place in a structure which I call Minakshi. You're held in place by a structure, by whatever name you go in this world. But the truth is that we are energy bodies, and we are emitting energy out all the time. 24/7 we are doing it. And so today I want to discuss something with you. Now see, your heart, or my heart, our heart pumps blood. The heart pumps blood, and you know that the heart is the seat of emotions. You know that the heart is the seat of emotions. And when your heart pumps blood, it also pumps messenger molecules which go by the name of neuropeptides. See, I'm not a scientist, but I have read books about these kinds of things, and there are people who are psychologists and people who have researched all this very, very much. And so what they say, we've got to believe, we've got to agree. So the heart pumps blood, and there is, an emotion which we are feeling in the moment. Now try to understand this. Our emotions, we may experience 50 different emotions in a day. There may be many good emotions, there may be many negative emotions. We are experiencing a variety of emotions every moment of the day. But what is happening is that there is a habitual emotion. There are some emotions which are in the moment. Suppose I'm a person who is mostly sort of, let us say, sad. I'm using the word sad. Just take it as, I'm not too pleased with myself. I'm not very pleased with the way I have expressed myself in life. I feel that there is so much of potential in me. I can do so much more. Why am I stuck here? So there's a general feeling of disgruntlement. I'm not too satisfied with myself. And so that is accompanied by an emotion that we do not recognize, and that is anger. We may appear to be the most peaceful people, but believe me, we carry anger which we do not recognize. Most people would call me very good tempered, and I've always been good tempered all my life. I have been the peacemaker. I have never created trouble. That is who I have been. But I did not realize how much of anger I was actually carrying deep within me. And that is true of almost all of us because we come from a lot of cultural conditioning. So now what happens is habitually there is an emotional place that we live in. That's a habitual place that we live in. It's like, the emotional thermostat. It is set at a particular degree, and that is the habitual emotional place. And, in the moment, you may send me a beautiful text and I may feel very happy, or you may send me a joke and I may laugh. So for the moment, my emotion has changed. But that emotion will change, and I'll come back to my default emotion. I'll come back to that default emotion. I will not continue in that place for a very long time. So this is the truth about most of us. And so what happens is that that habitual place that we are in, those are the neuropeptides that your brain will actually accept. Your heart is pumping blood. The blood is going to various regions. It goes up to your brain. Along with it, those neuropeptides do go, and your brain receives them. It receives a variety of neuropeptides, but it will elect, it will, let's say, choose the particular emotional neuropeptide which it habitually receives. And then the cells of the body and everything will be rebuilt on the basis of that habitual neuropeptide. No matter how happy you try to make yourself, or what you do, or you're trying to get into positive thinking, every kind of thing you've tried, but you're not able to change that default thing because you don't know what it is. You don't know what it is. You don't know what that dead rat is. And you've stopped getting the smell. That's the sad part. And so now what will happen is you'll push people away. Your relationships will show. There will be a dent in the relationships. Whatever you need to get in that relationship, you will not get. You'll not get that. Whatever monetary thing or financial thing you richly deserve to get, you're actually silently putting out a message: don't come to me. I don't deserve to receive. Don't come to me. I don't. Think of a shop, a beautiful artist's shop with lovely paintings. And consciously, this artist is wanting to sell his paintings. Unconscious, and there are many people who would love to come to his stall and buy his paintings, but unconsciously, this artist is putting out a message: No, no, don't buy my paintings. Don't buy my paintings. Don't come to this stall. Don't buy my paintings. So people come to the stall, they get that message, don't buy my paintings, and they leave. You must have seen shops, in your hometown, two shops selling similar things. One jam-packed with customers, and the neighboring shop, he's trying to cut short on the costs, he's trying to do everything, but he doesn't get customers. What is he doing? He's emitting a vibe which tells his customers not to go there. And this is something that we are doing unconsciously all the time, and we are not aware of these things. So, an emotion, and the particular emotion that we are going to talk about today, is anger. Anger is holding up a pattern. So, what is this pattern that we are talking of? A pattern can be anything that exists as a memory in you, that exists as a memory in you. And that memory, as long as that dead rat, that pattern is there inside you, it will get triggered in some way or the other. You will not be able to prevent it. And that triggering will happen. And when that triggering happens, a host of emotions will be, set loose inside you. You'll start feeling all kinds of negative emotions. You'll become very uncomfortable, and you'll not be able to deal with them. You'll not be able to handle those things. So that is the power of an emotional pattern. So how did a pattern get formed in the first place? So now let's go back to very, very early childhood, when we were too young to understand what our parents were all about. And we didn't know anything. We had just been thrown into this world, and we had to learn to survive. And yes, there were these parents, and there were so many people around us, but we felt threatened. Why? Because maybe our parents had arguments. Even if they were not very serious arguments, they are enough to terrify a child. A child is not able to feel safe and secure. So there are arguments. There are arguments maybe between your dadi and your mother. There could be arguments between your mother and your father. There could be any kind of thing. You might have heard noises. There are three things that we keep within us. We carry, sights, things that we have seen. We carry sounds, words that people have spoken, statements that have been made, and we carry feelings about which we know nothing. So now, in that environment, what we do is we somehow teach ourselves to survive in that atmosphere. So we make those parents our internal model. And unfortunately, your life will get designed exactly the way your father's life or your mother's life, however it was. You will design your way unconsciously. You're not sitting with a pencil and a pen to design that life, but you're going to absolutely do it, and you'll find that you're very much in that boat, in that boat that your parents were in. If you It could be in your this family, it could be in the family of origin, it could be in the family that we go to after marriage. It doesn't really matter, because what you need to know is, even if a pattern doesn't, you say that no, it didn't happen in my family of origin. Yes, some things have happened in my husband's home, but the truth is that if you look at your ancestral history, even a couple of generations before you will absolutely find that pattern, and you will not be able to deny it. So that pattern has now come to you for correction, and you are left with the job of having to deal with it. So, how is that pattern held in place? Now, as young children, there are some emotions that we are simply not allowed to express, and the primary emotion there is anger. So, if you see the interaction between your, let's say, dadi and your mother, The dadi could scream her head off, but your mother was expected to toe the line, and bilkul, she has to adjust and she has to do those things. And your father might very well have seen, he might very well have understood that his wife is right and that his mother is not quite right. She should be the one to shut up. But cultural conditioning, so what he'll do is he'll not he'll not support his wife. And in the privacy of their bedroom, he'll tell his wife, तुम तो जानती हो ना कि माँ का स्वभाव कैसा है. So now you adjust. Now what has the son done? He's actually feeling angry with his mother, but he has put a lid over it. And this kind of interaction is going on in this house over and over and over again. And this emotion is completely locked inside, and it is never allowed to see the light of day. And one day it will become explosive. Even before he knows it, it will become explosive, and it will take on a form that this person will not recognize. This is the worst thing about a pattern. Or let's look at another situation. In another situation where you could have spoken up for yourself, you know that you were in the right and you could have spoken up for yourself, but you did not do it. You could not do it because people had handed over a label to you. उन्होंने तुम्हारे लिए एक मॉडल, एक सांचा बना के, and they just fixed you. They fitted you in that, that सांचा. You had to be in that mold. So you are this, ideal person. You are the peacemaker. You are the one who will, if there are three daughters-in-law in the house, you are the one who will not argue. You are the one who can be trusted to, obey or to toe the line. What happens? Yes, you are busy pleasing everyone on the outside. You're doing that. But the one person who's terribly angry with you is a part of you which you do not recognize. And that part is living silently inside you. It is waiting for you to pay attention to it and to do something about the emotions that it is holding in place. And if you do not do that, it will result in all kinds of conditions. Any kidney, bladder, urinary tract, any kind of infection, any kind of diabetes, fissures, piles, menstrual disorders, everything related to the lower regions of the body, and mainly everything related to the blood. And please don't forget that the kidney flushes out the waste from the blood. And so all these disorders of the renal areas, or let us say the lower anal areas, all these things, all these have a lot to do with suppressed anger. You can keep on claiming that I never get angry. You cannot associate me with anger. मेरे को गुस्सा आता ही नहीं है. But you're only fooling yourself. Because if conditions outside are not okay with you, it only means one thing. There is a pattern, and there are three emotions which hold those patterns in place. And one of those three emotions is anger. Anger always has underneath it fear that my emotional needs will not be met. You know why people are the wife beaters of this world. The husband, he has not been given the kind of emotional response that he should have got from his mother, whatever the reason may be. He has not got that kind of response. And so he grows up with all that frustration in place, and then he gets married. And now he expects that emotional emptiness, that vacuum to be filled by the wife. She's expected to do it. And so if she doesn't listen to him even a little bit, he'll turn on her and he'll beat her up. Because that is the only place he can vent that frustration out. He could never do it as a child. If he had done it as a child, and if he had kicked his hands and feet around, his parents would have told him, "Nahi, ganda bacha, this is not done. You're not supposed to do this." And when that happens too many times with the child teaches itself to put a lid on those emotions and it stops expressing itself. So this is the metaphor of the dead rat. We are carrying that dead rat. We are living in a beautiful house, beautifully done up house. But unfortunately, that beautifully done up house has a dead rat. You've been living in this house for so many, many days now that, by days, I mean years. But because we are talking of the dead rat, so you've got so used to the smell of that dead rat that it doesn't even reach you anymore. But anybody coming from outside can get that smell and they're going to run away, miles away from you. So all the opportunities, the promotions that we deserve, that next level that we need to reach, the relationship harmony that we want, that financial abundance that we want, everything is running away from us because of the presence of that dead rat. Think of all these energies, whether it is money, whether it is affection, whether it is the satisfaction of seeing your partner doing very well in life, whether it is the satisfaction of you yourself doing very well in life, or being at a place where you want to reach. These things are denied to you because you're carrying the pattern about which you have no idea at all. And once we come to know that, okay, there is a pattern in place, and or there is this dead rat in place, are we going to say, "Main Sunday ko dekh lungi"? Now we've got the smell. Let's say we've got the smell of the dead rat. You've already got the smell of the dead rat. Are you going to say, Abhi, today is the Thursday, na? So let it be, let that dead rat be. I'll wait till Sunday and I'll go on Sunday and I'll hunt for it and I'll throw it out. Will you do that? You won't do that. The moment you get the smell, you'll immediately take all steps to somehow locate where that dead rat is, and you'll do everything in your power to throw it out. But we are reluctant to do this emotional plumbing when it comes to our own lives. It frightens us. Somehow we feel terrified and we are not ready to do it. And so if we have any such pattern in place, we will have to do that inner work, the plumbing, and we will somehow have to locate it and throw it out. Now, see, anger is a very, very normal, natural human emotion. And if at any level we are denying anger, suppose we say that, "Nee, I have no anger, I don't carry any anger," then you are denying being a human. You're saying, "No, then I'm not human." If you are a human, if you are human, you're absolutely carrying that emotion and you're not aware of it. So anger by itself is not a wrong emotion. But there is something very important related to anger. Anger has to be appropriately expressed. If you express your anger and then you forget about it, it's okay, very fine, because you've let it out. It's okay. But what we mostly do is we suppress it. We put a lid on it. And then when we put a lid on it, one day it becomes so big that it explodes. That is why they say, beware the anger of a patient man. That patient man has kept that anger bottled up inside him. And because he has kept it bottled up inside him and he's not aware of it, so one day it comes out, it bursts out in this big bad way. This is what is happening. So this is the second thing. Either we are suppressing that anger, which is very dangerous, or what we do is we express it appropriately, which is very fine, or we express it inappropriately. So inappropriately, we all the time hear of people who quarrel at workplaces, who get into a fit of rage, and they take some hasty action. They'll do all kinds of things, and those are all inappropriate expressions of anger. Now we get angry over three things. We get angry with people. We get angry with people. Your mother-in-law has made a very caustic, acidic comment. It's enough. A colleague has done it, a superior has done it, somebody has done it. It triggers anger in you. So we get angry with people. Second, we get angry at situations. We get angry at situations. Think of yourself standing at that, traffic thing. There's so much of traffic, you're in a hurry to get there. That's not happening. And so that quick thing that rises up inside you, you can almost feel it. And your face and the facial muscles, they take on a particular form. You know that you're angry. And that is there because it's there inside you. So you're not able to take it as you're living in a city, the roads are like this. You're getting angry is not going to change the situation today, but you will not be able to help it. It will come up. And I'm only giving you a very small example. This happens in 1,000 different ways in our life. So situations, we get angry with people, we get angry at situations. And the third thing is, this will surprise you, we get angry over objects. Now think of your car keys which you have misplaced. You're in a hurry to get to work, your car keys are misplaced. You know, that frustration which will come up, you're looking there. In the beginning, it'll all be nice. But then you've hunted all around in all the obvious places, you're not getting it. Now something comes bubbling up inside you. That is that anger at objects. Again, I've only given you a very, very basic kind of an example, and you'll be able to, if you think of it, you'll be able to think of many, many things that you are angry about. Misplaced things are only one example. So we carry anger towards these three things. What do? Either we are allowed to express, and more often than not, we are not allowed to express. We have not been allowed to express. As children, we were not allowed to express. Gandi baat hai, aise nahi karte. You didn't like that particular, Mausi or Bua or whoever she was, because she had that habit of, doing something that bothered you. And so you said, I don't like this one. And your elders immediately, nahi, gandi baat hai, you shouldn't do this. Aise nahi karte. So, because at that stage, we are still learning to adapt. So when this happens once too often, there are so many gandi baats when we are young. So what we do is we learn automatically. 3 things your parents will teach you, 300 things you will teach yourself. That is what we call the inner critic inside us. That is what we call the inner critic inside us. You would have taught yourself 300 things. Your parents only taught you 3 things which were gandi baat. And you taught yourself before, you'll have to understand this way. This is something very important that I'm explaining. Please understand. Think of a class teacher, a very, hot-tempered class. She may or may not be hot-tempered, but what she does is, one day she yells at a student in class, and that yelling or the shout or whatever she does, it frightens all the other children. She has not yelled at you. She has yelled at one child in class. But you watch all the other children, there will be a scared expression on their faces. And from now on, they will take care never to do anything to get that teacher into that kind of a mood again. They don't want to be the targets. So they will control themselves in every way possible. That's exactly what we do. The teacher never scolded you. She was scolding someone else. But why did you have to train yourself to, be careful and not? That's how we do. That's exactly what we do. And that's exactly what we've all done in early childhood. And because we trained ourselves in this way, so we have forgotten how to express anger, but anger is there inside us. So where does it go? That anger makes you the target. That anger turns inward. Now it is not going outward, it's going to go inward. And you will be the target of your anger. So any kind of blood, and I've done so much of this, 37, 38 years of astrology have taught me so much about all these blood, every planet has some disorders associated with it. There is something called medical astrology, which I have studied in such great detail, that I understand exactly what is happening. The emotions are so much responsible for a physical condition. So piles, you have fissures, you have things like let's say menstrual disorders. Nowadays girls come up, I don't know what they call that, PCOD or something. God knows what that is. Disorders related to menstrual cycles, blood related disorders like piles, high BP. Low BP is depression, and high BP is uncontrolled anger inside, all stifled and waiting to burst out. So you have made yourself the target. And when you make yourself the target, one of two things happens. Either you get a physical condition, and that physical condition becomes chronic, like these disorders that I was talking to you about. Or what you do is in I think last masterclass something, I said something about that pipe on which that little girl had put her foot. She had put the weight of her body on that pipe. We do that. We put the weight of our mentality on the pipeline of life, and now we are going to stop the flow. We are going to stop the flow from coming to us. So you will have to learn exactly how you formed the pattern in the first place. And when you learn how you formed it, now you can do something to loosen it up. You can learn to loosen it up. You can see where all in your lives you could have done that blocking. And one by one, you could step by step, learn to clear it up. Once you learn to clear it up on a step-by-step level, you will be amazed at the changes which will actually come into your life. See, this course that I talk about is a 3-month course. I do not wave magic wands, and I'm not saying, on the 91st day, you're going to be this very different person. Those are not the kinds of promises that I make to people, because they are false promises. This is self-work. Those 3 months will give you in-depth understanding of what is happening inside you. You will be taught things that you will have to practice regularly. And yes, the magic will happen. I cannot say whether the magic will happen in 6 months, whether it will happen in 9 months, but I can tell you for sure that the magic will happen, because it has happened in every single person's case whom I have been able to, tackle. So that's the only promise I can make to you. Implementation is absolutely the key. If you are willing to implement, you will absolutely see all the changes that you want to see in your life. So this is one thing. The labels that we have taken up in life will have to be imagined. How do others view you? How do others view you? That's a very, very important question. So who are you in other people's lives? And how much did you have to suppress in order to become that other person, that particular person that everyone wanted you to be, or the person that you are today? You have even forgotten that you have a right to be angry or irritated or something. And so you have completely stepped into that mold, and you are not willing to explore what is happening inside. So these are some of the things that I wanted to discuss today. And now, how do you express your anger? Suppose you say that, no, I don't get angry, which means you don't shout, you don't scream, you don't do all that. So if you get irritated, do you give that silent treatment, maybe to a partner or to a colleague or to a boss? You refuse to talk, you refuse to have anything to do with that other person. Do you do things like this? So these are all symptoms of emotional needs which remain unmet inside you. So I think I've given you an overview of anger and how it could be linked to some pattern that you are carrying. And we can always explore these patterns, that's all right. We can explore these patterns, we can identify them, we can locate them, and we can learn how to get rid of them. If you come in for the 3-month course, everything can be done. All these things can be examined in depth, and you can practice all these things. So I'll end the class today because I have a lot of people coming in and out today. I was wondering whether I'd be able to have this class at all, but I didn't want to miss this. So is it okay if we finish this today and we have the next masterclass on the 8th, which is a Sunday again. We can keep it on the 8th. And
Yes,
Ravina,
ma'am.
I'll be seeing you inside my course on the 1st. And Monica, I'll be seeing you for the course tomorrow as well. So
Yes, ma'am.
thank you very much. And many, many thanks for all your good wishes today. Many of you were so generous in your good wishes. And I'm grateful to each one of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Is
ma'am.
it okay if I
Thank you,
end it
ma'am.
here?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.